Hi, and welcome to this February edition of More Than Bread. I'm Greg Satterfield with Christian Community Connect, and today I have with me Kevin Bagatta, who is the founder and CEO of Real Alternatives. And Real Alternatives is empowering women for life. Kevin, welcome.
Thank you so much, Greg, for having me.
We're very happy to have you here today. We want to hear your entire story as much as possible. Of course, we've got limited time, so we can only hear much. But, I want to hear what was the big idea? What was the concept? What was the aha moment that most people have? Why they get passionate about starting something? And I know you've got a really good background story there that we want our audience to hear today, why life is important and why everyone needs a choice.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate that. Real Alternatives, as you know, operates the statewide Indiana Pregnancy and Parenting Support Program that provides services and counselors to about 18,000 women a year, um, so they don't feel they have to have an abortion. And we do this through pregnancy centers, social service agencies, and maternity homes. And we're now in our 30th year, four different states. We have served over 505 100,000 women, not counting the babies. And it's been quite a blessing and quite an adventure, as we've helped about 17 other states do the same thing. Use government resources, government tax dollars to promote life by helping women, and saving a baby one woman at a time. But I have to tell you what probably is the single most powerful motivator for me. You know, I I'm half Irish, half Italian. My father was all Italian. My mom was all Irish, first generation American. My mom had polio during the polio epidemic. My dad became disabled after his service in the Navy in World War II. So this is the greatest generation who raised my brother Frank, John, and Daniel. And we were raised by handicapped people. And in the 60s, handicapped people didn't get married, let alone have four children. But they had this can-do mentality. Their faith in God, who would provide for them, and the prayer life we had at home. So we watched these two people, these very dynamic people who were odd. We'd go shopping and people would stare at my mom in the wheelchair. Uh, Back then, handicapped people did not live robust lives, or didn't. My parents figured they were going to do what they were going to do. I clearly, their faith in God helped them, and it certainly had a profound impact on my three brothers and I. But the primary thing was that when Roe v. Wade happens, these two handicapped parents immediately jump into the pro-life movement. So now the whole family's in the pro-life movement. My mom's working with Long Island Right to Life, New York State Right to Life. My dad was volunteering, helping the local pregnancy center. The idea that, look, every life is worth something. Every life has a purpose. And our job as Christians were to help these women so they didn't feel they needed to have an abortion. I can tell you, this is a World War II generation group that were shocked, after 20 years after the end of World War II. By that time, what was going on in Nazi Germany, as well as Japan, had come out. They were just shocked that our country would embrace abortion. It just didn't make sense to them, and they needed. My mom's was focused more politically to ban it, to overturn Roe v. Wade, and my dad was more into the service with pregnancy support. So my brothers and I, witnessed that. Okay, my parents would tell you that, and the UN report. Your viewers can read it for themselves. You know, when Hitler rose to power, he was the result of the culture of death. The medical community had already imposed the culture of death in the society of Germany. Not one disabled World War I German veteran was alive when Hitler rose to power. They had been euthanized. This idea of a life not worthy to be lived. So my parents knew that, especially being handicapped, and they said, "Oh my goodness, this culture of death is going to ruin our country and ruin our future." So they clearly felt very called by God to get in and get involved. And of course, my brothers and I, we being pro life was also being part of being Christian, being a Catholic Christian, and so we it was easy for us to just know it. So, long story short, I had a wonderful career in the military. I then worked in the Pentagon as a civilian at a think tank, and it seemed no decision was made in the Pentagon unless legal checked it out. So I said, "Wow, I should become one of those lawyers." And I went to law school and very much enjoyed it and enjoyed the idea of the law. And after I graduated, I saw this ad that said, pro-life organization seeks administrative director to start government-funded program to help women in unexpected pregnancies so they don't have an abortion. That was the ad. And I said, "Oh my goodness, I'm a lawyer. I have military experience. I've got government contracting experience federally. I should take a look at this." And I just realized right then and there, this was the job for me to create something that hadn't existed, but with my family background, being raised by two handicapped parents who are, you know, who are working. My dad received an award from Grumman Aerospace and NASA and the Apollo 13 astronauts for the work he did in bringing them home, the Apollo 13 mission. Grumman Aerospace made the lunar module, and he was intricately involved in that. These are can-do people. These are can-do people. And if your viewers know Irish and Italian people, it's in their genes anyway. Let's get it done. Let's solve problems. So it wasn't too far of a reach for my brothers and I to be impactful the next generation. And that's when this opportunity came. I said, "Wow, this seems to have my name written all over this job." And I got the job, and they provided 30 years ago. They provided right after law school. They provided me the contract, and they said, "Go start it." And that's what I did. And it's been an unbelievable blessing ever since.
It's interesting. I know before we started this interview, I said there aren't any consequences with God. Never any consequence. I mean,
Coincidence. Yeah.
coincidences. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, never any coincidence. Not, there are consequences, but
Yeah.
there's this, see, but there aren't any coincidences with God and the Lord. I'm almost, when you were talking about the ad you read, I could almost see, oh, and John applied to this job at the end. I mean, it was just like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was just like the job was written up for you. And it's amazing how God works in our lives. And when we come up into a moment in time like that, we go, okay, I feel a calling here from the Lord. I need to step forward in faith. And
Yeah, Greg,
so thank you for sharing that.
there's not a day that goes by that I don't, think, okay, how was I able to put this together and to advance the ball on this? Was it the MBA? Was it the that I got while I was in the Air Force? Was the military training? Was it the law degree? I mean, it's all of it. I can live. Was it my time in a think tank, working in the Pentagon, where I learned certain skills when it came to dealing with legislators, things like that. It was so orchestrated. Circumstances just I were very orchestrated for me to say yes. And every day I realize that it's not just a one shot. Every day I'm like, wow, how am I able to do this? I just realized I was being groomed. And you know what? That's very humbling. That is a very humbling thing. Um, you know, I tell people I really care about what two people think about me. My
Well,
wife, and Jesus Christ.
yeah,
Those are the
yeah.
two people I care every day. What am I doing? Am I maxing out what I'm supposed to do for my family and for the Lord? And that sort of keeps me straight. I think you can imagine being raised by two disabled parents. The word can't was not really said in our house. They were can do people. My brothers and I, we are the, my dad would have this expression: don't tell me what you can't do. Tell me what you can do. The idea
Hmm.
was everybody's got problems. It's original sin. The whole world has problems. What are you doing to work around it? What are you doing to get the job done? And that's the attitude that I've always had, and my brothers have in their professions. And once again, thank you for that cross, Lord, that you gave Frank and Ellen Bagata, because it helped them and it's helped their children.
Yeah, you learn how to carry your burden.
Well, there's more
Um,
there's more joy in a cross than we know. There's more
yes.
there's more benefit in a cross.
There's way more appreciation when you were talking. It reminded me of Romans 8:28, which I've always kind of explained as a kid. I remember, trying to kill rainy days where I couldn't go outside and play, and I would do these connected dot puzzles. And when you get all of those puzzles, you just start going number one to number two, and two to three and four to five, and just keep on going. When you started, it was all just a bunch of dots, and then when you finished, you actually had a picture of something that you couldn't in your mind's eye see. And that's the way I see Romans 8:28. And we're just our life is a connection of dots, and God is directing our steps. And in your scenario, he brought you right to starting real alternatives, which is great. Going back to our first part of our conversation, there's two things that you said that jumped out at me. Number one, um, what happened in Germany with the veterans of World War One, which is amazing how you would treat people who served and put their life on the line for their country. They'd have been better off being
Yeah.
mortally wounded on the battlefield. And number two, the other thing you brought up is so the war ended in 1945. When did the law come from Roe v. Wade?
Yeah, almost.
Less than 20 years later.
Yeah.
How quickly we forget where we came from and where we can go to. How can you take those, if you can speak to a little bit about those two events, Germany, Roe v. Wade, and where we are today, if you can connect those dots, that'd be great.
Yeah. So I again, your viewers can easily look this up. The United Nations did a report. The whole world was scratching its head saying, how the heck did Germany get to be Germany? And they did a no nonsense deep dive on the history. So you know this idea. So the idea is it's a life not worthy to be lived, and we've heard this in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. Oh, they're going to be poor children, or this woman doesn't have any help and support, and so this will help her. It's again, you see this, the idea of life not worthy to be lived. Well, hold on, maybe that's a call to action for us to help that mom and help that baby. And who are we to say what life is not worthy to be lived? There's the famous story of a mother who had six or seven handicapped children, and she's now pregnant with the eighth child. And then the doctor's like, you need to have an abortion. You have all these handicapped children in varying forms. True story, by the way. And she said, no, I'm having this baby. Well, if she would have listened to that doctor, she would have aborted Beethoven. True
Mm.
story. So, you know, people, there's a purpose for everyone. There's a purpose for everyone. And you know, as a community, as a family, we're there to work and help each other. So what we do at Real Alternatives and what our centers do is they help her from the moment of conception that she's in this unexpected pregnancy through 24 months after the birth of the baby. I think I'd explained, you know, they had asked women who had had an abortion, and Charlotte Logiers did the study, and 70% of women who had had an abortion said if one person would have helped them in the unexpected pregnancy, they wouldn't have had the abortion. Well, that's what the citizens of Indiana are putting their money to. They're putting their money, the legislature's putting their money into a budget line known as the Indiana Pregnancy and Parenting Support to provide life affirming services so that woman has that one person in the counselor at the pregnancy center, the social service agency, or the maternity home so she doesn't feel she's alone. And once that pressure is off, she's more likely to choose life. And that's what continually happens. We serve 18,000 women a year in Indiana, and 77%, first of all, 20% of that group is pressured by others to abort. And of that 20%, almost 80% choose life. So they're being pressured by one person, and now they're meeting this counselor who, it's a beautiful story. They love on these women. They don't just serve these women, they love on them as if it was their own daughters. This is a program of love, and our clients realize that. And the bond that they meet with the counselor, it's truly amazing. And that's why they have that trust relationship to help them. And not only that, you know, they're helping them. They're going to have a healthy pregnancy. That means they're going to have healthy maternal care, healthy prenatal care, healthy infant care. So the health outcomes just from that loving relationship that's established at the pregnancy center, the social service agency, or the maternity home ripples through the state. We're providing great health care referrals to ensure that these babies and these moms are not only choosing life, but they're having a healthy experience.
And help me, if you would, and for our viewers to understand how you take your funds and use your funds to reach the people who need to hear the message. Oh, I'm pregnant. Now what do I do?
Greg,
And so how do you use those funds? And because
that's
I think everybody wants to hear how the wheels get in motion and how things work.
yeah, Greg, thank you so much for asking that. So, you know, we've banned abortion, and I was very privileged to be asked to testify in the House and the Senate in Indiana in August, the summer of 2022, when they were proposing the ban. And you know, everybody talks about the ban. What your viewers have to realize is Indiana is the model for the nation on this issue. They didn't just ban abortion; they simultaneously, with the other branch, created the most pro-woman, pro pregnancy funding source. I mean, they went to the nth degree, where now in Indiana there's no sales tax on baby diapers. I mean, to the nth degree. Okay, this was a $45 million push up in pregnancy care services for Hoosier women. The you know, hats off to the Senate and the House and the governor, Governor Holcomb at the time, for seeing that vision. And so to have that safety net available, our program got tripled in funding to 6.25 million a year. We were able to expand our services and our capacity to serve what would have been 8 to 9,000 women who had had an abortion a year. We needed to be prepared right away to meet that capacity. But the most important thing is what you just touched upon. How do we reach these women when you've got that abortion pill out there that can be ordered? So think
Mm.
about this, Greg, and I hope your viewers can realize the impact because of that abortion pill. The abortion clinic is at the end of the driveway in the mailbox. So we have to reach those women before they order it. And we do that with smartphone advertising. It is, this generation live on this. Everything. They don't even watch TV anymore. Everything's on the iPhone. We're able to deliver ads to that smartphone based on their demographic criteria. Your viewers should know we are reaching 93% of all women ages 18 to 34 in Indiana. And we're feeding them ads that says simple things, pregnant, need help, you're not alone. Click here. We have banner ads at the bottom of the phones. They're playing games. The ads come up in their games. They click, they go to our website, 188lifeaid.com. They can find a counselor, immediately put in their zip code, and next thing you know, they're making the phone call to the local center. It is the most, when we started 30 years ago, Greg, I just got to be honest, we paid for Yellow Page ads and that was it. That was the technology. That's how women got to our pregnancy centers. That's how they also got to the abortion clinics. Now you have to go out and get them. It's almost like, how the early church, right? The apostles, they didn't just sit there, build a building and hope people came in, did they? They went out and they got them. They went out and they got them. And that's what we need to do and continue to do as the pro-life movement, to provide life-affirming services. One of the sad things, Illinois, 86,000 abortions a year, and more than half of them are out of state. You think maybe some of the Indiana citizens are going there? Ohio now has a constitutional amendment that allows abortion. You think some of the Indiana citizens are going there? Michigan. Our border states are bastions of abortion. We need to be able to get to these women. Don't call. Don't leave the state. Hoosier family in Indiana is here to help you so you don't feel you need to have an abortion. And it's working great. We would normally, before we did this type of advertising, we would receive maybe 25,000 clicks to our website because of the advertising. We're now receiving 200,000.
And you told me you're reaching 93%, correct?
93% of all women in Indiana.
That's astounding. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. And guess
that's
what?
a God thing,
Like
right?
Greg, yeah. And you said you're reaching it. I'm telling you, your viewers are reaching it, and your legislature is reaching it, and your governor is reaching it. We're all part of this program. The Indiana Pregnancy and Parenting Support Program is an entire Indiana family program. Everybody is reaching these women. And what a great thing to say about a state. That's why I say, when I go to other states, you got to do what Indiana's doing. They're the model. They're the model. They have an effective program. They put that funding in. They've got unbelievable advertising to reach these women who then are funneled into these pregnancy centers. It's a wonderful program. I'm sorry if I get excited. 30 years later, I'm still excited because it's good work. It's what we're supposed to do. This is America. We solve problems in America. Okay, this is like that generation that went to the moon. They had an issue, they solved it. That's what we should be doing. And that's what's going on in Indiana. I hope every one of your viewers, yes, thanks God that they live in that great state of Indiana that has a program like this that can go out and help women and lower abortion one woman at a time with service from the moment of conception through 24 months after the birth of the baby.
And I know there's a relationship with you with Indiana Right to Life. Can you
Oh,
speak to that some?
by all means, Mike Victor. One of the blessings of my job over the last 30 years is dealing with the Right to Life affiliate of almost 20 states that we've helped grow or help them start their program. We actually ran the Texas program, ran the Michigan program, obviously ran the Pennsylvania program, and now are running the Indiana program. But there's 12 other states or 13 other states we've helped explain the program to their governors, their legislatures. I know Florida. I briefed Governor Jeb Bush twice on our Pennsylvania program. It was a joy to meet him, by the way. And that Florida pregnancy care network is growing beyond leaps and bounds. We're so proud of that. But one of the things that happens is we don't lobby. The Indiana Right to Life affiliate lobbies for these programs. That's not what we do. We're a services part of the pro-life movement. They're the lobbying part of the pro-life movement. Mike Victor, Indiana Right to Life. Actually, we flew him into Pennsylvania. He was there for 3 days. He visited centers, social service agencies, maternity homes. He understood how the program worked and why. And he actually went and to Governor Mitch Daniels at the time, which unfortunately there was that problem with the economy and there was a freeze on new programs. But Mike Victor, we wouldn't be here. And those 142,000 women we have served in the last 11 years would not have been served if it wasn't for Mike Victor and Indiana Right to Life. They went to Governor Pence and said, this is the program that's going to lower abortion until we ban abortion and beyond. And that's exactly what's occurred. Hats off to Mike Victor, one of the most honest men of integrity I know. You are blessed. You are blessed that your chief pro-life advocate in your state is Mike Victor.
Yeah, he's an awesome man. We had the privilege to interview him last year, and um, very good story like yours as well. Um, Another question I have for you is, so we hear what you're doing, who you're affecting, and all that in a very positive way. For our viewers listening and watching today, what can they do to help this program continue to grow and reach even more people?
Well, number one, always pray. Please pray for us. Pray for women to look at their iPhone at the right time when the ad's there. I mean, I had a Monsignor tell me one time, Kevin, always pray very specifically. That way, exactly when the miracle occurred. So, pray that we're able to reach the women who are considering especially ordering the abortion pill or leaving the state. Let them realize, if they could pray that these women realize their state is there to help them, and they want to help them. I would say number two, let your legislators know, hey, I love this program. Let's make it grow. I will tell you, it is growing, and more women are being served by it, and that does take funding. And so we're constantly, when asked, here's what we would need more funding for. So it's good to let your local legislators know what a great program it is, what it sounds like, and how you want it to continue. And then, let the governor's office know. I mean, he loves this program. Thank the governor. There are states. I mean, you could have Governor Shapiro. No, that would never happen. But anyway, the governor is very important when it comes to what he's decided he wants to lead his administration in doing. And clearly, it's a pro-life administration, and we're blessed to have him, as we were Governor Holcomb and then Governor Pence. These people, they want effective programs that accomplish good pro-life things, and we're honored to work for them, and we're honored to work for the citizens of Indiana to produce. Like I said, 142,000 women have been served in the last 11 years. Our administrative costs is down a little bit above 8%, which is really good. And we're incentivized. Whatever monies we save in the administrative side of the house, our contract allows us to spend it on services. So we are pro-life, and we're sanitized, to dot our I, cross our T, and to save as much money so we can have more money on the services side of the house. So I would say those are the three things.
Yeah, I think one thing that you really, we probably don't think that much about, but a thank you to our legislatures and to our governor and lieutenant governors, and just letting them know, thank you for the job you're doing in helping save life, because life is important. And I think sometimes we kind of gloss over that. But
Well, we voted for them, and they're doing what we say, and we're like, well, that's what they should be doing. And I get it. I'm a voter too. But they uniquely, this is a small program in a big budget, but they, Speaker Houston, Governor Braun, they want to know, how is this doing? What can we do? How do you do more? And we're fine with being pushed. This is a
well,
great thing.
leaders are people too,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah,
and we got to remember that no matter what position of leadership you're in, you're just a person. And we often put the governor or whoever up on a pedestal. And honestly, they're just a person. I mean, and they need to hear words of affirmation. They need to hear what they're doing right, and of course what they're doing wrong at times too, because obviously there's a lot of wrong we'd like to see get changed right. For example, I mean, you're talking about the pill being ordered at the end of the mailbox, and I'm thinking we got, mail order murder basically is what is going on here in the nation. What can we do to stop that?
yeah,
I mean, we need to do something to stop that, correct? I
yeah.
mean, you brought something to light to me today that I never even thought of.
Yeah, and I believe a bill was passed by the Senate, and I think it might be in front of the House as we speak, to restrict the abortion pill. And you need to talk to Mike Victor about where that is. But these people are, the legislators, they're human. They're trying to do the best they can with what they have, and we got to pray for them too. I mean,
Well, we got to understand they have the other voices over here, right? I
yeah,
mean, they don't just hear us, they hear them too. And
yeah,
so we've
yeah.
got to remember, we've got to poison, other voices out there that oppose our point of view, and they'll say it very loudly. We know that.
Yeah. So one of the things, if your viewers know a woman in an unexpected pregnancy who's considering abortion or who's not considering abortion, you can have a single mom, okay, or a teenage girl, and they're with their boyfriend, but then all of a sudden, boyfriend wants to go to prom with somebody else. She just went from being a pro-life to abortion vulnerable. I mean, any woman will tell you, in a pregnancy, there are stresses that we men just do not understand and will never understand. All we can do is be there for them. So if you know of any teenage girl, any young lady that is in an unexpected pregnancy, any woman in an unexpected pregnancy, not sure about things or just wants to talk to somebody, they can go to realalternatives.org, and you'll see on the front tab, find the counselor page. And that really explains the program and what we do. And that is something, in their churches, in their church bulletins, in their church newsletters, realalternatives.org. Pregnant, need help, realalternatives.org. Put that in every church bulletin and every church newsletter. Boy, that would reach so many other people who will now sort of be out there looking and know, hey, here's a place that can help you. You know,
I appreciate that because you were reading my mind. That was my next question. So thank you for that. Last question or last statement or last whatever I want to talk about is you and I talked a little bit before we got started about pizza. And you have a really great story I think we should end with today so that people understand just how God works.
Yeah, it's a very humbling story, but it's my dad had this expression, love is an action verb, and my brothers and I understood that, and this your viewers would see this also, and remember, we're not in charge, right? Somebody else is
Right.
in charge. And this is the story about somebody else being in charge. Real Alternatives, right next to Real Alternatives, is a pizza shop. And, many of my staff, I mean, we keep thinking we added one of the additional wings to it or after 30 years of pizza with them. But one of the workers there, a dad, his name was Carlito. He knew sort of what Real Alternatives did, but he actually asked me what specifically we did. And I said, well, Carlito, our company in Pennsylvania, we administer a statewide program to help women who are in unexpected pregnancies so they don't feel they need to have an abortion. They're not by themselves. And we get them to a local pregnancy center or a social service agency or a maternity home to help them. And he said, oh, I know about that. I know about them. He was talking about the pregnancy centers. And then as he says that, this 18-year-old young man throws a slice of pizza on a white plate to me to pick up. And Carlito then says, I said, yeah, the local center is Morning Star Pregnancy Services. It's about 3 or 4 miles down the road. He goes, oh, I know Morning Star. And then he points to the 8-year-old kid that just passed me the slice. We needed help with him 18 years ago. So I'm looking at, oh my goodness, one of my clients' babies just passed me a slice 18 years later. Now the kid's working with his dad. He's going to college. I mean, it's the ultimate alternative to abortion story. And it was, like what, a God wink? Hey, keep it up. Look at what happened here. All right. But remember, who was involved in that pizza story? The taxpayers, the state taxpayers. Hey, even Indiana folks who pay federal taxes were involved in that because we were taking federal tax paying dollars from Pennsylvania also. We had the governments, the legislators, the governor, our contractor, our staff, the pregnancy center staff at Morning Star Pregnancy Services. Everybody's got fingerprints on that young man's success. Think about that. Everybody had their fingerprints on that young man's future. But to me, it was just a slice of pizza that opened all that reflection. I grabbed the pizza and went back to the staff and said, you're not going to believe what just happened to me. And, like I said, a God wink, right? You're doing good. Keep it up. Work harder.
And that's how God works. I thank you so much for sharing that story, Kevin. Thank you for being with us today. Just a real pleasure to talk to you, and I thank you.
Yeah, Greg, thank you for having us and for your audience. Keep praying for Real Alternatives. Keep praying for the women, and let's see if we can get to them before they go to that end of the driveway in that mailbox.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you again so much.
God bless.
God bless you.